Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the weekly Tottenham news review. I'm Lee the Dorset Spur and I'm here to kind of give you all my views and opinions on the stories that have happened over the last 7 days. Welcome back, as I say, to a very hot and sunny Dorset. Nice to be outside when the sun is shining, and of course the sun is shining because Tottenham had a great win last night, which is obviously the main topic of discussion today. Watched the game, wasn't at the game. Obviously, midweek games a bit difficult to get to from down here in Dorset, but watched the game with all the guys in the club last night, and wow, what a result! What we absolutely needed to kind of give us any hope when you consider the home record of Bodo Glimt and how good they've been at home, and certainly how they've turned over other results against other big clubs. So it was important for us to get off to a really good start. But of course, it was a start that we wasn't really expecting. Certainly not as early as that, and we went absolutely mad after 37 seconds, seeing Brendan Johnson put the ball in the back of the net, and it helped our nerves no end, seeing that go in so good. The expectation was then that we would go on and be really rampant, but you have to give credit to Bodo in the fact that they kept hanging on there. They kept kind of forcing us back and stopping us from really adding to that, because it's certainly in the first half we were really rampant, and disappointing to a certain extent not to go in more than the 2-0, to be fair. But listen, taking it from the top, I guess, no real surprises in the lineup. We're good to see Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven back, obviously being rested in the Premier League, which is, it kind of makes sense, I guess, because you want your best players available, but then at the same time as that, you've still got to give them that sharpness of match play, and it kind of worries me a little bit that they're not getting those minutes. And I understand where Angie's coming from with the idea that all these players need to be given minutes and they need to kind of keep fresh and so on. But of course, with it being this late in the season, the reality is you're relying on these players to get us through in both these competitions. And I know the league's done and dusted. We're not getting anywhere from that point of view. But of course, the absolutely demoralising result against Liverpool, wasn't it? Really hard one to take, even though we know that they are the best team in the league, clearly, and I wasn't expecting to win up there or anything like that, but getting the early goal felt like we would kind of have a good go at it. But actually, as soon as Liverpool scored, we fell apart. So that was a real worry, and pushing us as low as probably we can go in the league. Anyway, I'm digressing slightly because I didn't really want to talk too much about Liverpool because it's done and dusted, and we need to move on. But as I say, great to have Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero back in the starting lineup. It gives that bit of security, gives you that bit of feeling that we are bringing out the big guns, I guess. Pedro Porro and Udogie make up the rest of the back four. Feels a bit unfair on Spence not really getting a look in now that Udogie's back, but to be honest with you, I thought that Udogie did really well, had a decent game, didn't give up too much, and deserved his place in the end. I thought he looked a real threat going forward. He did a lot of running, and I think it's always good to have a great option like Spence to be able to bring on, in the later stages because he can go right or left. So it gives you that flexibility, I guess, if you really need it. So I kind of understand why he probably didn't play, and he has played a fair few minutes so far this season in the end. But I think it's a shame for him to miss out because he is decent quality. But you can't be too sentimental in this situation. I think we've been guilty of that as Tottenham fans, being sentimental about players and so on. So disappointing for him, but I think it was probably the right move. Porro, of course, I think he really showed what he's about last night. I thought, for me, he was probably one of our better players. I thought the whole team did well, but for me, Porro was really good. His crossing is really top drawer when he does it. Just doesn't do it enough for me. I always think he's in the team because he can do that. Because he's the only one who does. You don't really see it from Johnson. You don't really see it from the left-hand side, whether it be Son or Odebear or Tell or whoever. You don't really see that either. Udogie doesn't give you that crossing, which I do think, to be going back to Spence, I think Spence does give you a bit more of that, maybe. But certainly, yeah. So Porro again coming in the side, I thought it was a good move. I thought he had a really decent game. Then of course the big miss in the centre for me was Bergvall. Looks like he's picked up an injury. It says that the only bit I've seen is that it's a tweak in training. He felt something tweak in training, but he was wearing one of those boots. So that kind of makes me think, well, if he's wearing one of those boots, he's not likely to play the rest of this season. But maybe it's just a precaution. We'll see as news breaks, and actually there may be more news whilst I'm making this video that I'm not aware of. But yeah, he's the one that kind of misses out. But you look at it, you think, well, that's pretty strong. You've got Bentancur in there, you've got Madison in there, you've got Bissouma in there. Bissouma for me is probably the biggest call out. Bentancur has started to show, bits and pieces of what he's about. But Bissouma for me has had a really poor season this season. I think he's been really off the pace. He really hasn't contributed too much. And he's just not the player he was that came from Brighton, and that's been really disappointing to see. So he was the one for me that I was like, Bissouma, really? But again, give him his credit. He worked hard. He made a lot of good tackles. He battled hard in midfield. He kind of held them up and stopped them getting any rhythm and so on. A couple of silly free kicks to give away and so on, but and a couple of his shots were wild. One of them must have been in the eye road after he'd hit it. It was that bad, which is just saying, because we know he does have a good shot on him. He can put the ball in the back of the net, but we're just not seeing it. So for me, that was kind of the big call out in terms of the team, in terms of the team news. Richarlison on the left, Johnson on the right, and Solanke in the middle. Up front, again, not too many shocks from that point of view. Tell did play at the weekend, as did Richarlison. But Richarlison coming back from injury, playing out on the left, was an interesting choice. We know he can play there. It's not his preferred position, but we know he can play there. And to be honest with you, in the terms of the first half, I thought he did really well. I thought he worked really hard. Of course, his header back across the box for the first goal was awesome. I know he had a bit of time, but he did leap like a salmon to get to that. Headed it back across into the danger area, which was exactly the right thing to do. And of course, you've then got Solanke and Johnson just basically waiting for that to come. And Johnson moves really well at the back post. Great header. Nothing they could do about it. 37 seconds. You could see what that meant. You could see what that meant to Johnson. He came flying down the pitch, knee slide and everything. I thought it was great to see, and I thought we looked, like this was going to be a real rampant win, I guess, at that point. We was all hoping for it. Of course, we wanted a massive, massive win to go over to Bodo. But, of course, Bodo ain't that easy to beat. They are a decent side. They've shown that. They've beaten some big teams. And I think some fans tend to overplay us as a team, and kind of don't give credit to some of these others. You know, they're in the semi-final in the same way that we are. You know, they've worked their way and they've got there, they've taken their chances and so on, and so they deserve to be there. So you have to give them credit for that. And like I said, their home record is second to none. They've had some really big wins there against some decent sides. So we can't underestimate them at all. But they restricted us and they stopped us. We had some chances. We did have some chances, half chances more than real chances. But Maddison, playing in the centre, decided that he was going to turn up for this game, which was great to see. Because when he turns up, he is quality. Our biggest issue with Maddison is the fact that he doesn't turn up regular enough in the games that you really, really need him to. And I get disappointed that he can kind of get frozen out of a game. But last night he showed what he is all about. I mean, some of his sort of interplay and his link-up play was excellent. Alongside Bentancur, who I thought probably one of my man of the match. I think Bentancur probably edges it in terms of his overall play. He played the whole 90. He didn't stop running. Some of his control was really, really good. He also had a really, really good shot that really stung the keeper's hands. Had to have the medical team, or was wondering if he kind of broke a finger or whatever to saving that, because it was hit with some venom. But yeah, Maddison, going back to Maddison, I thought he had a really, really good game. And of course, he scores the second goal, which was excellent. A great ball over the top again, I think, from Porro. And Maddison holds his run perfectly. It takes it really, really well. He actually cushioned it with the sole of his foot and hit it, kind of scuff shot really. But of course, because of that hitting downwards and taking that kind of bobble, I guess, it leaves the keeper with nowhere to go. And so that puts us 2-0 up. I mean, it was agonising waiting for it to go across the line, if I'm being honest. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, geez, is it going to go in? And when it went in, we was ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic to see that, because, you know, we really, really wanted to kind of set our nerves straight. So, yeah, I was, over the moon to see that happen. And Maddison, looked like he really, really enjoyed that. Good celebrations and so on. Like I say, Porro with an assist and kind of a pre-assist, they call it now, where it was him who played the ball in to Richarlison. And again, going back, just touching back on Bissouma, actually, if he hadn't have made the tackle that he made, shoulder to shoulder, then that opportunity wouldn't have come so early on in the game, really getting involved. So, I mean, everyone, I think, pretty much played their part in that performance. So yeah, Maddison really, really good, earned his place in the team. So when you look at it, Porro really showed what he was about. Udogie really showed what he was about yesterday. Maddison as well. Bentancur working his socks off in the middle there. Like I say, probably my man of the match. And then Bissouma doing what he needed to do to help break up the play, which was good to see, because we just haven't seen enough from him this season. And probably one of my tips to be leaving at the end of the season, if I'm being honest. Unless he's going to really start improving, I think he's probably one where we really do need to replace with some real quality. But again, this is just my personal point of view, right? So, you can disagree with me, you can think something different, and quite happy for you to comment about that for sure. So we kind of going into the first half 2-0 up and feeling good, and of course come out in the second half, and this is normally where things change for us, and things might kind of get a little bit away sometimes like it just feels like we can either play a really good first half or a really good second half. We don't seem to be able to balance the two and play well across both halves. Surprising to see Richarlison come off, if I'm honest. I did kind of get it though. I did think to myself, well, you know, Richarlison is coming back from injury. Maybe now. It seemed a bit early, personally. I thought maybe it was in injury, but apparently not. Apparently it was tactical. But with Tell coming on, you do get a little bit more pace and a little bit more energy, maybe. And I thought, well, maybe that's what we got. But unfortunately, I don't think it really worked. I didn't think Tell had the impact that you would want him to have. Certainly, he didn't stand out for me. It took a while before he even touched the ball, I think, before he had anything meaningful. But him and Udogie do seem to like to work together. They kind of seem to click a little bit, overlapping on that left hand side. But yeah, I didn't think it really made the impact that you wanted it to, which is a shame, really. And of course, then the next talking point in the game was the penalty decision. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. As an old-time football fan, I don't believe there are penalties like that. You know, yeah, okay, he kicked him, but they're both going for the ball. It's in the air. They're both jumping. It's inevitable that there's going to be some level of contact. Do I think he intentionally tried to kick him? No. Do I think he intentionally tried to foul him? No. But then, you know, how often do players actually intentionally foul to get a penalty? And previous week when we watched Man United, the Man United game, to see them into the semis, there was a penalty decision in that I thought was an absolute joke. So as soon as you saw the replay of it, you knew that it was coming. It was going to be a penalty. But like I say, old school fan, I don't like them sort of things being a penalties. But it is what it is. This is the modern game, and you kind of have to get used to it if you're going to do something like that. And so great to see. I thought Maddison stepping up and holding the ball was brilliant, because again that comes back to the thing of taking the sting out of it, stopping all the noise around the penalty taker, you know, being able to get their thoughts together or being kind of put off or whatever. Standing there holding the ball, I'd never for a minute thought that he was taking it, if I'm being honest, and I thought it was a really, really good move. And then he steps up and he gives it to Solanke to take the penalty. He's the striker. He's the nominated player. He's the one who should be taking the pen. So for me, there was no shock in that. In the same way we talked about the Brennan Johnson scenario where he didn't get to get a hat trick because he didn't get to take the penalty. For me, it doesn't matter. It's about the team. It's about the team effort. It's about the result at the end of the day. You want your best penalty taker to be taking the penalty. People think they're easy. They're not easy. Penalties are not easy. If they was easy, every single one of them would get scored. And they don't, and we know that all too well. So for me, again, great for Solanke to step up. But I've got to say this, hate that penalty. It is the most annoying and heart-wrenching penalty around. I much prefer them to smash them top bins or low down or whatever, send the keeper the wrong way or whatever. Because even though he kind of ran up, stuttered, and then the keeper kind of moved to one side, the pace in which he hit it, like you look at it, you think, would the keeper have actually been able to, you know, change and dive back the other way? It just was agonisingly slow, and I hate that sort of thing. I hate that kind of thing. It really does worry me. But listen, it went in. Nerves of steel to be able to do that, and of course then 3-0, and you're thinking, yeah, this is exactly what we needed. We need 3 because 3 is a really, really good number. Feels like you've dominated, and we did dominate the game. To be fair, albeit we didn't take as many chances as we could have done. I think we had 20 odd shots on top, you know, about 9 on target or something. I think something like that. Anyway, yeah. So we did dominate the game, and we were deservedly 3-0 up in that. of course, there's always a twist in the tail at the end of the game, and it wouldn't be the same if Tottenham didn't concede a goal, and we did unfortunately concede that goal. I thought we were unlucky. I thought for the 83 minutes that we were in that game, I thought we were the best team by far, and I thought we did really, really well. Defensively, we looked quite solid and everything, but you just need that one opportunity to go against you, don't you? And of course, the Bodo plays nice, intricate little play, gets a little bit of luck, hits it, and of course, it takes a deflection off of Bentancur. Had it not taken a deflection off of Bentancur, I think Vicario saves it. I think the bobble off of Bentancur takes it over the top of him, and of course 3-1. Then your nerves are starting to jangle because you've got something like 12 minutes left with injury time. But after the initial kind of minute, 2 minutes maybe of exerted pressure, once we got back in control of it, it didn't look like they were ever going to score again. And I think they seemed like they were quite happy to take that one goal, because they've won so many games by 2 or more goals at their ground that kind of gives them, they only need to score 2 to get to extra time, and that kind of it does put the balance, the match or the tie in a balance really, as to whether you are going to go through or not, or whether it's going to be tighter than it needs to be. All that needs to happen when you get to their place is for them to score early, and you know the nerves will jangle. But yeah, so listen, you can't be disappointed winning 3-1. You can't be disappointed with that. You can't be disappointed with the performance. I thought the performance was very, very good. I thought the players worked really hard together, and they really, really wanted that. They wanted that result. They want to win this competition. They want to pay the fans back, clearly. And they want to show something for the manager as well. I personally don't believe that the manager has lost the dressing room. I think the manager has the support of the team, especially as we're still in this competition. And I think they believe in him, and they want to prove something to themselves, to the fans, to the media, or whoever who keep kind of pushing this agenda. So yeah, ultimately a really good result. So we move on until next week now for that second leg. It's not going to be easy. It's all the way over near the Arctic Circle or the North Pole or whatever it is. It's out somewhere really, really cold, on an artificial pitch against a team that are well organised and have got a great home record. So it's far from over. It's far from over, but we've given ourselves a really, really good chance. Keeps Ange in a job for another week for sure, and we'll see where we go from there. I think we can do it. I think we've got enough about us to do it. We're going to have to put in a kind of Frankfurt-esque performance, where we defend really, really well and strongly. I think if we don't give away an early goal, then we've got a really, really good chance. And of course, it looks like if we do get through, our opponents may well be Man United. So a little bit disappointed with that, because I would prefer to see a different country's team in there, because obviously Champions League final we had Liverpool, and we know how that turned out. So it would be good to play a team, like Bilbao. But listen, it is who it is. You've got to beat who they put in front of you. Now we've beaten Man United three times this season, but it would be sod's law for us to lose the most important one, wouldn't it? But listen, let's worry about getting there before we worry about whether we win or lose against Man United in the final. We've got to get to the final first, and we've got one more game to go to do that. But I think, ultimately, as Tottenham fans, we have to take this competition as our joy for this season. It's been a god awful season. We've lost so many games, 19 games so far. Not sure where we get our next 3 points from, to be honest with you. West Ham up next, which won't be easy, away from home. They're having a terrible season as well in the league, and it's always a really big game for them, wanting to win this game, and it's a big game for us. For a lot of our fans, we really want to beat West Ham, because you know, local rivalries and family connections and all that kind of stuff. So I think it is a big game for us as well. I know we joke about it being their cup final, but I think from our point of view, there's a lot of us that would really want to win this one as well. But you just can't tell what's going to happen in the league. But the league's not what's important now. The Europa League is what's important to get through to that final and get us some elusive silverware and shut the idiots up like Paddy Power and everybody else who kind of likes to mock us. You know, not just fans but media and so on. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about it, but it would be good for bragging rights to be able to win that one. But anyway, I've rambled on for 25 minutes just about that game. So just a couple of other little bits of news, I guess. There's still talk of Paratici being part of the management of Tottenham Hotspur. So it'd be interesting to see whether that happens. A lot of people got a lot of faith in Paratici. He did bring some decent players to the club, but it's all cloak and daggers, and no one really knows about what the structure is going to look like. Obviously, with the new CEO guy coming in and so on, what sort of parts are he going to play? What does that mean for Scott Mann and all the rest of it? For me personally, I don't care. I don't care about that kind of thing. If Paratici's coming in, fine. You know, he's done some good stuff to the club before, so hopefully he can be part of that and do what needs to be done. But I guess the big news about it is that he wasn't the person to bring in Ange Postecoglou, and he's not allegedly a fan. So that could mean the end of Ange Postecoglou if he is currently in line to stay, because I know there's so much talk about whether he is or he isn't. Personally, I think if he wins the Europa League, he probably should walk away himself for his own pride. To be honest, but I think if he does win it, then for me personally, I think he deserves an opportunity to keep going and see whether we can improve our league standings and how we're playing in the league and so on. A longer term project for me is really where I'm looking. I don't like these constant change every 2 years, but I know a lot of fans have really turned against Ange, and I don't blame them. I've found it really hard work staying positive this season. In fact, you know, I've stopped a lot of my own YouTube work and stuff like that because I just can't be dealing with so much negativity. So we'll see. But Paratici looks like he could be still part of the club. The other bit of news that was kind of talked about this week, that one that I kind of really picked up on, was the issue of Tottenham having to sell players to buy players. Again, that's really I don't get that. You know, and I know it depends on whether we win the Europa and get Champions League football. That makes a difference. But for me, I can't see that being the case. I think that's probably just paper talk. I'm sure that the club have financial plans. They know they can't afford to sit and not buy players and not improve the squad. You have to keep moving on. We've seen with the times where we didn't buy anybody, and that's put us back to where we are now. So I think the club won't be sitting on their hands. But I do think we probably do need to sell some players anyway. So there are some players, some outgoing players, I think that will come to fruition. I think probably Richarlison. Apparently he's still wanted by Everton, so I can see that happening, and that would release some money. Bissouma again, I think, is another one who's potentially on his way. And then of course there's still lots of talk about Christian Romero, whether he would go, whether that's what he wants. We talked about that last week, so I won't labour that point, but you know, he may want to go. But all of that does release funds, because they're not players that are going to leave for free. So when they're talking about having to sell players to buy players, not sure that's the case, but balancing the books is probably a big thing for for Daniel Levy, because that's what he likes to do, isn't it? It doesn't really like to really speculate, and that's what's one of the reasons that's holding us back massively. But that's a whole different video, a whole nother long video that I could make maybe another day. So yeah, so anyway, listen, just to finish off, just the other thing I just wanted to touch on was the atmosphere at the stadium yesterday. I thought the fans were absolutely brilliant. I thought the tifo looked amazing. I know it's not technically a tifo, it's the display thing. For the first time, that's been funded by the club, which I thought was the right thing to do, a really good idea to do that. It would be good to keep those sorts of things going. I really enjoy that sort of side of it. I thought all the fans wearing white really went down well. You could really see it was really noticeable around the stadium. Again, the flags, loads of flag waving and stuff like that. Again, all adds to the overall spectacle. But say the atmosphere sounded amazing on the TV. It was good to see that, and I'm really pleased that the fans left the stadium with something to smile about for a change. Long may that continue, and hopefully this Europa League run continues right to the final, and we can finally get some silverware. But anyway, listen, I've rambled on. Thanks for watching the video. If you've got this far, really appreciate it. Please do let us know in the comments section below if you've got any differing opinions to what I've got. Happy to see those. If you've liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up, because I think it helps the algorithm, and it helps Chris's channel grow. And also, if you've not subscribed to Chris's channel, please do hit the subscribe button, because again, the guy puts out an awful lot of videos. A lot of entertaining stuff for people to watch, and I'm sure you'll enjoy some of the stuff he does. So anyway, until next week, I'll see you next time. Up the Spurs.